Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Recruit Military Live, a continuing series of live broadcasts covering all things military transition, veteran employment, mil-spouse employment, and much, much more. My name is Lucas Connolly, retired U.S. Army officer and former TAP program manager, here to share with you the ins and outs of navigating the turbulent waters of civilian employment. If you're in search of meaningful employment, well, you're in the right place. Please visit rmvets.com/live to learn more. I think most of us know that having the skills necessary to be a success in the military profession doesn't always translate into having the skills necessary to be successful in the modern civilian workforce. Transitioning service members need to assess themselves and assess the demands of the civilian profession they're pursuing before they hang up their boots. Our guest today is going to talk to us about the skills necessary to be successful in the civilian marketplace and how professional certifications can help deliver those skills and much more. Our guest today is Kenneth Mayes, a 26-year military veteran with 2 decades of experience recruiting America's finest young men and women to serve in the U.S. Army. In 2016, he joined the team at Syracuse University's Institute for Veterans and Military Families. In his debut role as an installation program manager, he helped launch the Onward Opportunity Program at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, helping those transitioning paratroopers to gain professional certifications critical to their post-military employment. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thanks for the opportunity, Lucas. It's great to be here.
And it's great to have you. And for those of you who are out there in the audience, now that you've heard who we are, we'd like to hear who you are. Who are you with? Who'd you serve with? Are you on active duty in transition, retired, National Guard, Air Guard? Are you a spouse, a mil spouse, a veteran job seeker, mil spouse job seeker, a caregiver, or some other thing that I haven't thought of? We'd love to hear from you. And if you've got questions, comments, issues, or concerns, feel free to raise them in the chat, and time allowing, we will address them. All right, Ken. Let's waste no time. We are wheels up. Now, before we dive into the topic of the day, could you do us a favor and do the audience a favor and just tell us a little bit about yourself, the IVMF, and the O2O programs?
Absolutely. Again, it's a pleasure to be here with you today, Lucas. I've been working with RecruitMilitary since I've been in this space, really, since back in the days when I was a program manager at Fort Bragg. But I'm Ken Mayes, and I'm the Employer Relations Navigator for the Onward to Opportunity program. And I work with employers, government agencies, VSOs, Veteran Service Organization, military service organizations. And I also collaborate very closely with the O2O teams that are around the country. And our primary goal is just to establish, off ramps to family sustaining employment. Over the last 20 years or so, I've worked within the human resource discipline, which is a discipline that I actually migrated into while on active duty in the U.S. Army. I have significant experience with full life cycle recruiting, talent acquisition, workforce, talent development, business development, and diversity recruiting for marginalized populations of job seekers, which also include the veterans and the military spouse community. As you mentioned, I'm retired senior NCO from the U.S. Army, certified human resource professional with the Society for Human Resource Management, a certified diversity recruiter, and I currently serve as the military liaison for the North Carolina Society of Human Resource Management. I've been a member of the O2O team since 2016, I believe, and I've had the privilege of coaching, training, mentoring. I would feel very comfortable saying over 1,000 transitioning service members,
Wow.
veterans, and military spouses, and also members of the reserve component, because those are the individuals that we serve in the IVMF program.
Ken, it sounds like
Just
you've been very busy since you left behind the uniform.
Oh yeah. I actually started working while on terminal leave. I've it's been consistent. 26 years. Retired in December, started working in November, and haven't looked back since. Now, a little about the IVMF. The Daniello
Sure.
Institute for Veterans and Military Families is like the first interdisciplinary national institute in higher education that really focuses on the social, the economic, the educational, and the policy issues that just impact veterans and military families. This institute was formed back in 2011 by Dr. Mike Haney, who is a CEO of the IVMF and also a vice chancellor at Syracuse University. And the IVMF provides career preparation training, industry-specific certifications, and employment skills training to the military community. Now, to date, remember I said we started back in 2011. So to
Right.
date, Lucas, we have actually enrolled over 80,000 military affiliated program participants by way of the O2O program alone. When you look at all of the services that the IVMF provide, that number skyrockets to well over 150,000 individuals. We have 19 locations at military installations around the country. And for those individuals that are not within a 50-mile radius of one of our physical locations, we also have a 100% virtual training model for service members, the military spouses, and individuals outside the continental United States who also participate in the O2O program. So that's just a quick overview of what we provide, Lucas.
That's fantastic, and I've had the pleasure of visiting your facility down there in Syracuse. Now you're down in North Carolina representing down there. It's absolutely fantastic, and you're probably not missing all the snow that drops on the Syracuse building up here.
I don't miss it. I'm originally a New Yorker, so I've had my fair share of snow. I don't miss it at all.
All right. Now, I heard very little about professional certifications uh, when I was on active duty, and then just there at the tail end, probably in my last 6 months, I heard nothing but information about certifications, about project management and HRM and Lean Six Sigma and CompTIA and Security Plus and all this other different stuff. What has changed in the workforce that within the last few years, professional certifications have become so popular, so sought after by employers?
Well, it's really have received a lot of visibility over the last few years, but it's not anything that is new. As I mentioned, in 2011, the IVMF was established, right? And by working closely with industry, they determined that the best way to prepare transitioning service members to transition to private sector was to be able to enhance their employability. And what way do you do that? Well, industry certifications came up. But now, over the past 2 to 3 years, especially post COVID, we've seen a huge surge in industry certifications, even so much that each military branch actually has a cool program or credentialing program because they also realize that this is something that can help service members and military family members to secure a more favorable position when they're out there competing for these opportunities. So the certifications are essentially it's a validation of skills, right? It's a
Right.
certain level of proficiency that's been validated, not at a local level or remote regional level, but on a global level. So just to be real clear, Lucas,
Hmm.
certifications now are the global currency for this 21st century economies.
It was
If
like a
you look
widely
at
accepted, standard.
everywhere you look, I mean, when you talk to people in call centers now, you could be talking to someone on the other side of the world, and
Yeah.
we experience that quite a bit. And a lot of the global currents, though, the certifications out there, it really helps to establish that global marketplace for employment. So that's why we've seen such a big surge in certifications over the last couple of years. And then during the pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs, unfortunately. And as a result of that, a lot of people decided to, okay, how can I continue to make myself valuable? Well, certifications is definitely one of the ways that they were able to do that. They are most part very affordable, right? They're much more affordable than a 4 year degree.
Hmm.
And they are, you can achieve it a lot faster than trying to get a undergrad or a graduate degree. And it's a critical component of skills-based hiring. And so, what is skills based hiring? And we're seeing a surge in skill based hiring, Lucas, because a lot of companies have realized that they need to hire for a particular skill. They need a subject matter expert who has been proven. And the certifications is just one of the ways that an individual can achieve that status. Certifications, in fact, it's a lifetime commitment. Once you graduate from college, you graduate from college, right? The
Yep.
degree is on the wall and you're ready to go. But if you get a certification, you have to recertify every 2 to 3
Right.
years,
Can't let
depending
it
on
get
the
stale.
certification, right? You just can't let it sit there and collect dust. You have to continue to professionally develop yourself. And that's the main reason why we're seeing such a surge in the certification. It's a validation of credentials and a validation of skills.
We got a question here from Natalie Gonzalez, who's going to be joining the Recruit Military internship team in a couple of months. Are you able to take part in O2O to obtain a certification and do a SkillBridge internship at the same time? I'll be interning with Recruit Military in December. Ken.
Well, it really depends on what your actual status, whether you're active duty or if you're a veteran or if you're a military spouse. That would be one of the determining factors. And a lot of it depends on the local command teams as well. The
Mhm.
local command teams really are the approving authorities to determine which opportunity you can be presented. So I would definitely recommend that you speak with, if you're active duty, definitely speak with your chain of command, because I've seen chain of commands who have been very liberal, and they have really given service members the benefit of the doubt and the greatest opportunity.
Yeah, and you've got program managers, a lot of different installations, program coordinators to answer questions and walk folks through that application process. Am I correct?
That's absolutely correct. Each individual installation, they have their own guidelines, even though there's a global standard that, guideline from a skill bridge perspective. A lot of the local command teams, they still have a very strong voice in what the service members are eligible to compete in.
Okay. Now, once you've got these certifications, are employers really standing up and noticing these things? Are these translating into job opportunities and increased salaries and opportunities for promotion, or is this more like just a kind of a bumper sticker on the back of a resume?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say it's a bumper sticker. I think that it does translate to increase compensation. For example, the PMP certification is, well renowned, and it's very known that with that certification and working in a project management career field, you can see a 10 to 20% bump in your salary just because of that certification,
I'll
which
take
is
it.
pretty remarkable. Yeah. So it does translate over, but it's the responsibility of the individual to really align the skills that they've obtained by taking the certification with the requirements that the employers are looking for. Right, you still have some work to do. You got to sit down, you got to do your research. And then the certification, even though it does create more opportunities from an employer perspective, it gives them a pool of individuals that at least has a validated foundation of skills, right? It kind of helps get you out of the pack if you are a job seeker. If I'm in a, remember the old virtual, the stack of resumes
Oh
where you
yeah.
may be in the middle or be at the bottom? Well, the certifications can kind of help get you up to the top. But certifications by themselves cannot resolve all of your issues. You still have to go out there and you have to, you know, increase your performance currency. So when I say performance currency, what I'm referring to, Lucas, is, what makes you who you are. And this all falls under your intellectual quotient, your IQ, which consists of traditional education. It consists of your experience. Certification can be added in there. But then that last part, that business acumen, is important
Hmm.
as well. Because although you have a certification, you still could be a little bit green as to how that body of knowledge applies in a particular industry. So being able to improve your business acumen is important as well. It really kind of helps round off
Yeah.
your performance currency.
It's not enough to know stuff. You have to know how to do stuff because essentially that's what the employer wants. Oh, great, you're
That's
smart.
right.
What can you do for me? How can you help
Right.
this company make money, save money, increase efficiencies?
Absolutely. That's it. WIIFM. That's what we say, right? What's in it for me?
Right.
That's what the employer wants to know. And the certifications is just one piece of that. That's why a lot of times, if you're competing for a job or a career, you participate in a behavior based interview. They want to hit a star statements, right? Situation, task, action, results. How do you quantify what you've done over the years? Is it something that's qualitative, not just a generic bullet comment that's on a resume? But we want to also hear the stories that come along
Hmm.
with that. This is what happened. This is what I was tasked to do. my actions were this, and this is what the results were. So all of that works together in unison with the certification to increase your own individual value proposition.
And quantify those results. I mean, your average, company executive doesn't get up and put his suit on and head off to work in the morning because he wants to feel good about himself and make people happy in the workplace and eat donuts. He's there to make a few dollars. So if you
Yeah.
got to generate some quality, quantifiable results to get those employers' attention.
Well, understand the number one reason people are in business is to make money. Right? Not just spend a bunch of money, but they want to make money as well. And the certification also can help to bridge some of those gaps, some of those skill gaps that you may not have, like the acumen gap. The certification can bring you along the way. And for an employer, it really reduces the recruitment costs.
Hmm.
Especially look at LinkedIn, man, right? I can find anyone on LinkedIn from a particular discipline of work based on their demographics, the location, their geography. I can find that on LinkedIn. And if you think that recruiters are not utilizing this resource to find the best
Of
talent,
course
then
they are.
of course they are. They're saving time, right? Time equals money. The less time it takes to fill a position, the more money the company makes. And that's what they're all about.
Fernando here in the audience says, "My company is pushing agile training." Um, what are the most popular certifications right now? I mean, what are the ones that are really getting a lot of attention?
Well, that could be answered in a couple ways, but what I like to do is I did a slide because I wanted to just kind of show a visual of some of the top certifications that are out there, not just from the O2O program, but on a national level as well. So, can you see my screen, sir?
Yeah, yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Let's see if
So in
we
the
can.
O2O program, the top certifications that we have people enrolling in are PMP being the number one. That's pretty close to 50% of everyone that comes through the O2O program is enrolled in the PMP. The next was the Certified Associate in Project Management. Now, some people may say, well, why PMP and CAPM is always at the top? Well, the military decision making model or process is directly aligned with the PMP processes. And that's something that service members have done their entire career, especially if you've grown in the military and you're retiring. You have years and years of project experience. And a lot of that project experience was delivered in the form of an agile project, right? Not so much waterfall, but I mean, there's some waterfall experiences too. Some industries lean more towards agile and others lean more towards waterfall project management. But what we're seeing now is even the Project Management Institute has begun to integrate more agile methodologies into the project management professional certification. The third one for the O2O program is a professional in human resources, which is a great resource for military HR specialists, NCOs, or officers that want to transition into HR in the private sector. It gives you a strong foundation of the human resource body of knowledge and can equip you and put you in a position where you can learn more and be able to transition into a very effective role. The fourth one on the list, Security Plus. And I know you mentioned Security Plus
Yep.
earlier. Well, why is Security Plus so popular? Well, if you want to be a government contractor or work for the government and you want to utilize any IT systems that they have, you got to have Security Plus. That's part of their security protocol. You have to have that. And that's why Security Plus is a very popular certification. Additionally, it's an excellent certification if you have any aspirations of transition into cybersecurity. So
Right.
Security Plus is like a gateway certification into the cybersecurity.
That is a booming field right now. It seems to be getting bigger
Absolutely.
every day. And it almost seems like when you hear some of the stuff we hear about on the news with what other countries are doing with cyber attacks and cybersecurity, it almost seems like we're coming late to the party and we're struggling globally to catch up.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. Yeah. And then, of course, the CISSP, which is the Certified Information System Security Professional, that's our fifth most popular certification. And that just, it kind of aligns with what you just said. There's a huge demand in cybersecurity. So a lot of service members, and not just the 25 series from the military, from the Army or the other branches that have information technology, but you have people who have never even worked in IT who are becoming inspired to want to work in this career field because number one, it's a high demand for it, and there are so many employment gaps on that side that there's a great opportunity, and the pay is really good too. So
And
on the right side of the screen, I've actually listed, some of the top paying certifications. You could take a look at those, but what I will share is that outside of human resources, every certification that we have falls under that top 10. So the O2O program has aligned itself with industry to provide the most
with
in-demand
trends.
certifications, and the dollar figures over here are crazy. Even number 15, which is Security Plus, on the average, you're talking about $110,000. Now, this is based on region, it's based on demand, and it's also based on additional skill sets. So I wouldn't take it, for granted that okay, I get a Sec Plus, I'm gonna make $110,000. But there are a lot of other extenuating circumstances and factors that are involved with this salary.
Experience, education, marketability, and then the icing on the cake, the thing that validates your experience, validates that you know how to do things. That certification, it shows other people you've been tried, you've been weighed, you've been tested, and found that to have met the standard. Much like when doctors have to complete residency or lawyers have to pass the bar, the HR professional has got to have that HRM certification. The project management professional, that IT professional, to show people verily, yes, I'm not just book smart. I've been weighed, tried, tested, and proven worthy.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's where the money is right now. You have to be able to demonstrate that you have the skills that employers are looking for. That's where we are.
Now, if a service member is looking at some of the Onward Opportunity Program materials and they're looking at the lengthy list of available certifications and they're thinking to themselves, which one is right for me? What should they be thinking about? How do they come to the conclusion that one or many of those is going to support their transition goals?
Well, the first thing that I will share with any person that is considering a certification, Lucas, is take an introspective look at who you are, right? Understand what it is that you think you want to do. Be very intentional about the movement and when it comes to that process. The most important thing that you can do is just do your homework, exercise your due diligence, look at the industry, look at the corporate culture. IT has a corporate culture. It's how if you like to work long hours and travel frequently, then you might do well in IT. If that's something that maybe you're not too comfortable with or you had enough of it during your military career, then maybe you should consider another career of choice. So doing your homework and doing your research is very important. You can connect with people who actually work in that career field. Well, where do you find them at? Well, www.linkedin.com. That's where you find individuals that work in a particular career field that you're interested in. And if you're a veteran, then seek out veterans that actually work in those career fields. And where do you find that at? www.linkedin.com. Utilizing and leveraging the power of LinkedIn can go a long way when it comes down to deciding which certification is good for you. Find a coach, find a mentor. Some of the places you can find them. Participate in some of the local chapters of the governing bodies for these certifications. For example, if I want to get a PMP and I want to learn more about it, why not join the PMI chapter? There are veterans over there. They have liaisons that can coach you to completion and success. Same thing with the HR chapters. The SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management, has over 300,000 members. Whether you're abroad or if you're here in the continental United States, there's a chapter that can help coach you through that process. And ISSA, if you're into cybersecurity, follow the ISSA. Go to some of their meetings. You have to immerse yourself in that environment to find the resources that you need, and then align them with your needs and what it is you want to do, and then move forward from there. Even volunteer work helps as well.
Sounds like absolutely sound advice. And I know here in Jefferson County, New York, the professional human resource professionals, the local chapter of that body, they meet on I believe it's a monthly or quarterly basis where all the human resource BPs, human relations BPs, human resource managers in the area come together to go over the state of the industry and the trends, to share lessons learned. So great advice. Reach out, connect, get those informational interviews, talk to people, help them, or should help yourself by allowing them to confirm or deny some of the assumptions you have, shed some light on the career spaces that are dark for you right now, and find your path. Ken, as we wind down the show, I'd like to ask if you could deliver just one piece of advice, a short piece of advice for our transitioning service members, our veterans, our mil-spouse job seekers, reference to the certification programs you've discussed today. What would that one piece of advice be?
I knew that question was coming, Lucas, and
It's my favorite question.
I thought about this quite a bit. And in my professional development and research, I ran across a quote that I want to share with you. And this quote states that prescription without a diagnosis is malpractice.
Mm.
If you were to go to the doctor and they just were feeding you medications without diagnosing exactly what was wrong with you, that's considered malpractice. When it comes to your career, before you start jumping into pools of certification teams or groups, and you can have a list of all these certifications that you've done, you got to get the diagnosis. What is it that's going to help you get where it is you're trying to get to? Whether you're pursuing a certification or just looking for what your next move is going to be from an employment standpoint, you need to be intentional about your moves. Don't just do it to be doing it. Make sure it has a purpose and is going to achieve a specific outcome. That old cliche, I can do anything. If you have that in your toolkit, you need to get rid of it because it's not looked upon very favorable these days. Consider doing some sort of assessment as well. That will be a second point. Do an assessment. There are millions of them out there. You got Myers-Briggs, you have DISC, you have the Berkman. There are so many assessments, but do an assessment. You may need that to kind of help you identify what your passions are. So a lot of times passions are built within us and we may not even be cognizant or aware of what those passions are. And an assessment, a personality assessment can kind of help to bring that out. And then lastly, I would say manage your expectations. Know what the proper entry point is. Just because you're a lieutenant colonel or a colonel or a sergeant major or sergeant first class doesn't mean that grants you the right to walk into an organization in the private sector and work in a similar capacity. Understand, exercise some humility, understand the proper entry point for you, because if you come in at the right level, then it's very likely you'll be able to advance very quickly. But if you come in higher than your skills can be
Gonna
measured
stumble.
to, then yeah, that's going to create some issues for you. Look at the industry, look at the salaries, look at the geographical locations, look at the corporate culture, not only of the company, but also of that particular industry that you want to work in. And I cannot reiterate this point enough. Be intentional about the direction that you want to move towards and be specific about what it takes to get there. That will be my advice.
Ken, absolutely fantastic advice. I think our audience appreciates it. If somebody wants to learn more about IVMF, the O2O program, and what the great things they're doing up there in Syracuse and across the country at the satellite locations, where should they go to find more information?
Well, my colleague Sean Lewis has put a lot of information in the chat for you. So I would definitely recommend that you take a look at that. But if you didn't get a chance, just do a search for IVMF. ivmf.syracuse.edu is one of the places you can go. And
There
if
we
you,
go. Sean dropped it just there. IVMF,
yeah, he did.
Syracuse.edu.
Right,
Great partner in
definitely.
crime you've got there, brother.
Absolutely, yes. And then Onward to opportunity.org is another resource that you could use. That's ONWARD, the number 2, opportunity.org. And you can do everything there. You can figure out all of the programs that we offer. And then also, if you want to enroll in the O2O program, you can get connected to a member of our advising team who will coach you through the registration process.
Ken, that sounds fantastic. All right, let's wrap it up here. I tell you what, Onward to Opportunity programs, a pathway to professional certifications that can mean the difference between getting hired and not hired, and the difference between some actual money in your pocket as you deliver results for your future employer. And thank you very much, Ken. And if you haven't already done so, folks out there in the audience, dip on over to www.recruitmilitary.com, where you're going to find over 400,000 job opportunities with 16,000 employers around the world and around the corner. Recruit Military is on a mission to help veterans, transitioning service members, and mil spouses find meaningful employment. On behalf of Recruit Military and the folks that joined us today, Ken, thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks for having me, Lucas. It was my pleasure.
All right, and be sure to tune in next week when we talk DoD SkillBridge programs with David Shantz. Dave is a 20-year Navy vet, a SkillBridge success story, and the administrator of the DoD SkillBridge Community of Practice group on LinkedIn. You're not going to want to miss that. Until next time, this has been Lucas Connolly for Recruit Military. Good luck and Godspeed.